Butter. Now we all know that butter is supposed to give us a heart attack. So this poem is nominally about that, but it's also about the delicious prospect of undetected revenge. Butter. In the first glow of my laying out, I am all smooth and golden, a rich taste waiting to melt on the right tongue. Then the knives come. Dipping and scavenging, they seek an easier passage for dry bread. They nibble at my edges and stab at my heart, leaving me pockmarked, smudged with crumbs. My plundered parts are gloated over, licked, spread out thin with careful scrapes, or smeared in thick welts by greedy takers. My solid sunshine creams down their throats for the gentle swallow, the ooze between the teeth. Broken into oily bubbles by the churning of their innards, I endure the slow journey of reconstitution, biding my time as I fatten again to choke their veins and stop their blood. Uranon is a love poem, and the man that it is written to is far away. It's about the process of missing and wanting. Uranon. I want you to feel the unbearable lack of me. I want your skin to yearn for the soft lure of mine. I want those hints of red on your canvas to deepen in passion for me, carmine, burgundy. I want you to keep stubbing your toe on the memory of me. I want your head to be dizzy and your stomach in a spin. I want you to hear my voice in your ear, to touch your face, imagining it is my hand. I want your body to shiver and quiver at the mere idea of mine. I want you to feel as though life after me is dull and pointless and very, very aggravating. That with me you were lifted on a current you waited all your life to find and had despaired of finding, as though you were wading through a soggy swill of inanity and ugliness every minute we are apart. I want you to drive yourself crazy with the fantasy of me, and how we will meet again, against all odds, and there will be tears and flowers and the vast relief of not I, but us. I am haunting your dreams, conducting these fevers from a distance that leaves me weeping and storming and bereft. Right, this poem, Stitching, was very much praised at one point by a man I greatly admire, Brendan Connelly. So I'm reading this for him now. But it was written originally for my grandmother, Marjorie Troop, who was a fantastic needlewoman and taught me how to darn, and I'm very grateful to her for that. But in her last years, she became very muddled in her mind. Stitching. I send my needle through ravelled wool, catching the loose ends into a cross-hatched darn. This is how your freckled hands smooth the worn spot over the wooden mushroom. Pigeon-breasted in your mustard dress, you bent your head, snicking in the needle tip, your fingers light and careful as you impressed upon me the importance of learning how to sew. Your favourite backdrop, a soprano soaring from the gramophone, the sun sweeping in from the garden, flouncing yellow swathes over your shoulder. I have the quilt you made. My limbs are lapped in its glowing sunflower heads, your last opus, left for your daughter to finish and me to admire. Tomorrow the quilt will be packed away, part of the unpicking of the home I stitched together. I will wander the empty rooms like you when your darning days were done, and you woke up in a strange place, surrounded by strangers, pulled apart, the gap too wide for mending. Day of the Dead, New Orleans. This is the title poem of my third collection, and it's dedicated to a man called Lar Cassidy, who was a great lover of the arts, lover of all religions, and had a most wonderful funeral where there was a samba band, and on his coffin there was a pint of Guinness and an Irish Times. It was the best party I was ever at. Shortly after that I visited New Orleans, a great melting pot of a city. I'd never been there before, full of jazz, which Lar loved, and they really know how to do funerals there. Day of the Dead, New Orleans, for Lar Cassidy. You would have loved one last night of the syncopated funky butt, with Big Al rolling his great luscious voice out of the massive black mountain of his chest, the boys lifting their silver trumpets, the flush in their cheeks going right up to their thinning hair, while the tomcat on the piano sends his hands a jitter for the Charleston rag, and the sweet molasses drummer drops his long lashes and shimmies his cymbal. All the vaults in the graveyard are rollicking their brollies with the beat and swish, twirl and flourish. In the voodoo haunt on Bourbon Street, the obeah woman's hair stands up with the tongues of serpents. The clay ladies open their legs and little heads peek out. Even Christ on his crucifix has all the time in the world for Dixie. My tears roll when I think of the freezing day we tried to warm with our drums and poetry, when we laid you down and carried your jazzy hat away. In this city where your shadow takes a closer walk, grief brims like the upside-down grin of the Mississippi with its sad, booming boats, and I think of you as a great craft powering down the current until your light failed and you ran aground, and we stood on the shore in our Mardi Gras masks, watching you sink, wringing our hands, and in your big marshmallow and sweet potato voice you said, "Laissez le bon temps rouler, laissez le bon temps rouler, let the good times roll." Rootling is the title poem of my new collection of poetry, and it's about my daughter breastfeeding, Phoebe. Rootling, little wrestler, you snort, snuffle and lunge, latching on like a cat, snatching and worrying her prey. Once attached, you drag on me like a cigarette, puffing between sucks, nose pressed close, somehow catching your wheezy breath. Between rounds, in your white wrap, you arch your back for a rub, like I'm your coach, readying you for newfound strength in the ring. Your fists flail, fingers hooking my nursing bra, your feet curl and kick, toes a feast of tiny action. There is nothing romantic in this vital ritual, yet I crane over you, a loose sack, liquid with the loss of your form, with the tears of labor and lolling hormones making me gush along with my womb still churning out after birth. So when you dandle my nipple with a gummy smile, I tell myself your grin's for me, even if you've got that look of a seasoned souse on his most delicious tipple. This poem, Buying a Body, is for my father, who in latter years was not in great health, but loved the lambing season. He was a farmer. Buying a Body. I would go to the mall in my white rental car and shop for a new heart for you, father. Choose lungs as strong and light as parachutes. I would purchase the finest pair of wrists, the fastest feet, and legs as fleet as a stag's. I would go to the sleep dispenser and find you dreams blue and serene as your favorite summer sky. I'd buy you time. But I'm home from the land of malls and I've turned in the rental car. It's just you and me in the cold Sunday afternoon. You gasping as the lamb you thought your hands could hold slips free, the mother bleating, me not moving as quick as you'd like to shut the gate. You urge me up the yard, the lamb's black legs in my fist, and I wonder why it takes so long for you to follow. I learn later you're hardly able to walk it now, but today you aimed to pull the wool over my eyes.
I like the more recent poems too.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd been
There's more. There's